basically the process where our packaging gets stamped. You simply get the fresh mangoes, you cut them, and you put them in a drying machine, which dries them under low temperature for a long period of time so that you retain some of the nutrients. So what's left in the mango is just the fiber, meaning that the flesh of the mango, and this can keep for about a year. Generally, my childhood has been, I would say, allowed me to be independent very early. I went to boarding school at 9 years old. I probably took my first trip alone at 5 years old. So I think a lot of around entrepreneurship has to do with your ability to take risks, and I think my childhood and upbringing sort of endeared me to being a risk taker, adventurous, because I've been around many places. So I think I sort of inculcated that spirit of adventure, and I've also started a business when I was young. So I think, of course, you know, I've done it before, so maybe it was clear that I would do it again.
A graduate of Human Anatomy and Physiology, Affiong Williams soon realized that she could impact more lives through value addition as an entrepreneur than she would have as a medical doctor.
I was studying sciences with the intention of studying medicine, but I realized that it wasn't for me sort of early on. So I completed my degree, but I knew I never wanted to practice medicine. And the first job I got, and my only actual formal job, was in an SME incubator. So we worked with small businesses, we supported them. And what inspired me most about the businesses was the fact that some of these people who had less than I had, or started off with less than I had at the time, were responsible for creating a lot of jobs. And that was sort of one of the big things that started to sort of stay with me, was that through entrepreneurship, not only can you create wealth, can you make a difference, you can also employ a lot of people, and that aspect is what is driving me along my entrepreneurship journey, and what actually made me settle in on agriculture and agribusiness, because of the huge potential it has to be a job creator.
This belief in the huge untapped potential of agriculture led her to research an ingenious area that would preserve the shelf life of fruits, reduce waste, and drive the agribusiness sector in the long run.
I noticed that we didn't have enough healthy snacks on the Nigerian market, and I assumed, and I did some market research on the fact that people would look for healthier alternatives and consume them if they were available and convenient for them. And then, of course, there was not anything like this on the market before we came in, so it just made sense to sort of try my hand there and start. So that's sort of how we came about, and it's been challenging because we've had to introduce a new product that did not exist and sort of create awareness for it. So we currently have 4 products on the market, which are dried mangoes, dried pineapples, fruit and nut mix, and cashews. Yes, and these products are in different sizes, but the progress has been good so far, and it's enabled us to actually now plan for a bigger business where we process fruits in different ways, including juice, including fruit concentrate. So we are actually it's actually been a great stepping stone for the big plans that we have coming up in the future.
With a business idea requiring large capital investment and expertise, she relocated to Nigeria, armed with nothing but excitement and personal motivation.
I was very excited and felt very strongly that I should, start my own business and leave where I was living, which was South Africa at the time, and come back home. And I planned for 1 year, and I had to make the tough decision of quitting my job and moving back. And I moved back with a lot of assumptions that I thought, things would work out a certain way, and they didn't. So I had to sort of from the beginning be flexible around the way things operated. I hadn't lived in Nigeria for 12 years before, so it was about sort of integrating into the environment again and understanding how things work. and looking at how best to present my idea and business. In the first year, I was the only employee. I lived and worked from my house. We did not even sell one product for the first year. We were testing the market. We were getting NAFDAC approvals. I was driving around, sort of seeing if people would like the product and how much they would pay for it. So we started very small. I literally started with just bringing in some samples of dried fruit and giving it around to people and saying, would you eat this? And I like packed it myself. I put labels on myself. So I literally started at the very, very beginning, toting my idea with me and seeing whether it would work. And I had to be flexible for whatever outcome, whether it worked or not. I would have had to, change my approach, because that's what entrepreneurs do. You understand what your market is saying, and you figure out how to fit into what they want and give them what they want.
Afyang may very well be the perfect example of the saying, charity begins at home, and she opines that lack of funds should never be a deterrent for a potential entrepreneur.
I actually had big ambitions of having a branded fruit juice company selling around Nigeria, but I quickly understood that takes a lot of time, money, and also expertise and knowledge that I needed to build. So a lot of entrepreneurs often use funding as the biggest reason why their businesses they haven't started their businesses, and that's actually not true. Funding is important, but there are other things that are equally and maybe more important in the beginning, like understanding what the market demand for your products or services, and getting your first few customers, and learning from them about what they like, what they don't like, incorporating their feedback, and all of that you don't need money or a lot of money to do. So I think funding grows as you grow, and you have to be able to start with what you have. And I think if your idea is good and it stands out, you also attract people and attract money to your business. So funding is important, and the lack of it is a notable concern in this environment. Raising money is not easy, but at the same time, it's not the only reason, or it's not the reason people should not get started in their businesses. The money, you'll never have enough money for anything you need, so you have to start and show progress, show that you've made traction, and you find that you get more money as you go along.
While baby steps are ultimately necessary to kickstart a business, she explains that adequate planning was the main catalyst in her market invasion.
I would definitely place a high premium on research and planning, because I think that when you're entering a market, you make a lot of assumptions. Even if you're entering a market where there are already existing players, you see maybe the success stories and you think, oh, everybody's making it in this industry, and you have no idea what the intricacies are. So I actually almost encourage entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs to work a bit, to go into the industries that they're interested in and learn a little bit about how the industries work, get exposure, try and meet with the CEOs. Everybody says, oh, Nigerians are very tight, keep things to their chest, but I've not actually experienced that. There are so many times I called, emailed, went up to rooms to meet people who are CEOs of companies, and they gave me an audience because I was honest in my intention that I wanted to learn. So I know a lot more because I went out, reached out, and called people. So I would advise people to do the same. Don't assume that people are not helpful, because I've found that in my experience people are very helpful. But learning and researching before you hit the ground running is I know you want to get your idea out there, but it's very important, because there's so many missteps you can avoid if you actually just spend a little bit of time fully understanding your market and the business environment you're going into. But even if you don't have a mentor, I think there are other ways to get mentored by sort of reading up and following up on people who are in the business you're interested in, or even looking outside at success and stories from people who are operating in similar environments and seeing how they're doing it. So you can definitely learn, especially with the internet, where we have a lot of information freely available. People have asked us, how did you go about NAFDAC? How did you go about packaging? And I've shared this information because, entrepreneurship is hard. Entrepreneurship in Nigeria is hard. There's no need to sort of if you can make somebody's life a little bit easier, it's always a good thing to help others. So you can definitely have access to people. I think it's always good to reach out. The worst you'll hear is no, and you move on. passion is a motivator, you know, things that, you know, you want to change, you don't see why they are the way they are, and you think that you can change them, is usually another good reason to get into business and solve those problems.
How has the market acceptance of this product been since you started?
The growth of the company has been very, very positive, not just in terms of, you know, the money values of it, but just what we've been able to put together. You know, we started our products, we started with 2 products, and now we have 4 products. We started with just me, now we're a team of 11 people. We started with 2 or 3 stores, and now we're in over 80 stores. We have bigger customers as well, not just supermarkets, and we have bigger plans. So because of where we are right now, we're able to also bring our future plans and try to bring them to life a lot more, because we've made all this progress. Even me personally, as an entrepreneur, I've grown a lot in the sense that I can, you know, some of the things that used to make me feel like the world was over a year ago don't even faze me this now, because we've been able to find solutions to all our problems and keep pressing forward, keep looking to the future. We hope to set up our own processing factory this year, which will allow us to export our products, so not just, you know, sell locally but export. We hope to grow our business to the point where we are directly responsible for the employment of 1,000 Nigerians, and we hope to have farms and, you know, to really just be the leading fruit agribusiness in Nigeria.
Real Fruits has been gaining appreciable increase in popularity around the country since it launched 3 years ago, and Afyong's thorough appraisal of the business terrain begs the question: are entrepreneurs born or made?
People have different motivations for becoming an entrepreneur, and if I were to say there are any sort of similarities or congruence in what makes people entrepreneurs, I would say firstly it's sort of their appetite for risk and adventure and for the unknown. Entrepreneurship is very ambiguous. Even if you work as hard as the next person, your business may not succeed for different factors, and you have to be very comfortable with that. You have to be comfortable with delaying gratification. So the money you make today is not yours, it's actually for growing the business. So you have to delay a lot of the nice things in life and be comfortable with, you know, holding off on the reward for when you're actually, you know, big enough to be able to take from the business and sort of, you know, earn your sort of your share for the hard work you've put in the years. And you have to be really a persevering person. I think if you cannot handle ambiguity, the fact that one day you're on a high and the next day you're on a low, if you don't know how to handle that, and if that's too destabilizing, it's not for you, because it is exactly that. You have highs and you have lows, and, you know, they change from one day to the next. You just don't know what will happen. A lot of times we glamorize successful businessmen, but we don't really pay too much attention to what they did to get to where they were. And if you look at any success story, you'll probably see 10 years of ambiguous, insignificant work before somebody actually hit it big. There are very few people who are sort of successful overnight. It's not the norm, and it usually takes 5 to 10 years for you to actually, you know, have your business rooted, the foundation rooted, and then to grow and scale. So it is a long process. It takes longer than anybody imagined. It's one that requires you to be tough, to be flexible, and it requires you to, you know, be able to eat sort of like Indomie for a long period of time without, you know, wanting the nicer things in life, because you're likely not able to afford it in the beginning. So I would say those are some of the characteristics. And then, you know, problem solvers. If there's an issue that, you know, is with society that you constantly bugs you and you want to fix, or you want to play a part of a role in solving, then I would say that's something that you're passionate about, something that, you know, you're restless about. You'll be more interested in sort of solving that problem, bringing it to life, versus, you know, if you're just going into business because your friends are doing it, you know. And as I hire more people, I think delegating and keeping people accountable for the work they're meant to do is what you need. I mean, to grow a business successfully, you need the right talent. You need to be able to tell them exactly what it is they're meant to do, what their roles are, and you need to hold them accountable to doing those roles. So as you grow, you know, you cannot handle everything. I cannot handle every order, every new customer. I have to have a process by which if we get new business, I can channel it through the sales team or through the processing production team and all of that. So being able to create a good working environment by having the right people, you know, delegating roles and making sure people get used to and comfortable with their roles, and it's very important to scale any business. I don't think you'll get very far if everything has to be dependent on your decision making.
Her soft-spokenness may mislead you to think that it has been one jolly good ride the whole time, but she's got an equal tenacity.
The business environment is challenging. We face a lot of challenges, from logistics to traffic to the fact that you know, the infrastructure is a bit of a debilitating factor for us. The regulars, where we have, you know, suppliers who don't bring the product, to run away with our money, or, you know, the fact that we spend a lot on power that we should not be spending, or the fact that you know, we have people who are interested in maybe distributing our products, and then one day they're no longer interested. All those things are fine. I mean, a lot of the other big challenges we face, I think, are around awareness of the product. We're introducing a new product into the market, so the amount of time and money, which, you know, marketing a product is very expensive, it's taken to get our product name out there, has been very difficult. You know, the challenges around unexpected costs that come from, you know, a car breaking down for the 10th time, or the fact that we buy machines and they break down after one day. We've bought many of our machines. We can't even use them over 3 months. We have to keep replacing them. These are all things that really frustrate and bog down, you know, the business from just being able to focus on what we're really trying to do, which is produce healthy and good quality snacks, and also process these kinds of snacks. So all these things have been challenges, but we find our way around them, and we keep pressing forward. That's sort of the spirit, you know, of the organization. We've been an underdog for a long time, so I think now we're quite happy that people are hearing about our products and now interested in, you know, we're getting more interest from people who like the product, who want to consume more of it. So we're happy about that.
It's been 3 years of business. What would you say are the biggest lessons you've learned so far from your journey?
The biggest lesson I've learned is always to be solution oriented. Once you accept that something has happened and you say, okay, what is the solution? You make more progress. You know, inspire the team. You don't sit down and let the challenge overwhelm you. So I now look at anything that happens. We just say, okay, right, it's happened. What is our solution? How do we work around it? And how do we prevent it from happening again if it's within our control? I've also learned to be a lot more firm in asking for what you want from yourself, from your staff, from the people around you, and also being open to giving people a lot more feedback about what, about working and how to be better and how to improve. I think everybody wants to learn. And then just around thinking big, when we first started, of course we were small, very, very small, and as we grew, sometimes, like I mentioned, the challenges that you face make you sort of closed off to the big visions you had. And that's dangerous, because then you now see yourself as just trying to survive versus trying to thrive. And I especially as an entrepreneur, do not want to, be a small business. I want to be a massive business employing thousands of Nigerians and doing fantastic work in agribusiness. So I have to always keep thinking big and working towards those big goals versus, sort of being too insular and thinking about all the small challenges we're facing. So those are the 3 things that I would say I've learned so far. I do believe that we can do a lot in terms of job creation and employment, and that's a rewarding thing but also a big responsibility, because we are then sort of always we're always sort of pressured to keep growing and make sure that we can grow enough to cover our needs, cover our operational expenses, so that people don't go unpaid. People like the mix, the idea of having coconuts, mangoes, pineapples with nuts such as cashews. So going from the popularity of the product and the positive response, we decided to now create another pack, a smaller pack, where people could then again have a convenient snack on the go.
In her first full year of business, Afyong was nominated for the Women in Business Network in the Netherlands, which she won first place, as well as Creative Focus Africa for a creative and strategic business.
If I set myself to a goal, I definitely push myself to achieve it. And because I internalize what those goals mean to me, if it's something that is not so important and I don't identify with it, I'm less likely to even put it on my radar. I'm motivated by my sort of desire to bring it to life, so that motivates me a lot. I'm motivated because I have a big vision and a big goal, and I really want to see it come to life. And maybe I have a little bit of an ego about the fact that I can do it. I think I can withstand a lot of challenges, so I'm a very, very rugged person in that sense, that I can take a lot, and so I feel like I should be able to achieve things. So I'm also inspired by, some of the successes the business has recorded, not just winning some awards, but just the fact that, there was one person here 2 years ago and now we're 11. And I think that's a big success so far, and that I can do more of that. And, with every little progress we make, from having small customers to having airline customers, we feel then we can do better, we can do more. And of course, I think there are a lot of inspiring Nigerian women in business who I am trying to, sort of read about their stories and understand that, if they can get to that way, even in an environment when Nigeria was much tougher back then, and they sort of, reach this level of success, I'm motivated that I could do it as well. So I look for sort of local role models, and I'm really inspired by some of the things these women are doing, especially women such as Tara Felador-Tuye. Her story is really, really exciting. I really was inspired by how she started and sort of the progress she made over time, and her sharing that honestly, and now her mission to sort of empower a lot of women. And I hope to be that kind of in that position where I can give back my time and my knowledge to other people who are coming up. And I'm deeply inspired by an entrepreneur I know in Kano. Her name is Laimi Abubakar, and she runs an integrated dairy processing business, and she started as well over 12 years ago and has built something fantastic. It's a family business, and again, her motivations to do business, the idea that she felt empowered and she could do a lot, and she could be the best, I think inspired me a lot. Her story really, really touched me. And they're just even people who are my peers, young people who are really working hard, who have big ambitions, and who are not going to be stopped by whatever challenges they face, and I stay inspired by that. So I really like hearing good stories of especially women who are succeeding in the business world.
Real Fruit's vision to be a massive employer of labor may very well be materializing, with over 10 members of staff already.
When I saw the post online, I really liked the company. I liked what they were into, and it's a small growing company, so I wanted somewhere that I could build up my career. What I'm actually doing is in line with some of the professional certifications which I've acquired over time, which is a HSC. So hopefully I can take this knowledge and build on it and grow a career here. I am the quality control supervisor / procurement officer. Just basically monitoring the stock levels, basically what goes out, what comes in, taking orders, making sure that the standard of products that leave the pack house are top notch. And this kind of platform makes you learn a lot. It makes you exposed, it makes you interact with a lot of people. So I think young people should try and look for small platforms like this to at least expand and grow. It teaches you a whole lot that you might not be able to learn in larger organizations. Okay? Because your roles are more intertwined, and you get to learn a lot more things. She's a very nice boss. She teaches you everything. If you go and meet her, she's never too busy. She's always going to put you through and all that. So she's very inspiring.
Despite her being a young boss, she knows how to keep everything in order, to manage her staffs and her products and everything. The country as it is now is not a place where you just sit around doing nothing or waiting for white-collar job. I hope to start up a business one day of my own. and do something good for myself, and that would be of benefit to myself and my family and also the society.
If I had the opportunity, I would also go into such business because it's very creative and it's nice. She's a free person, very caring, God-fearing, and she doesn't tolerate nonsense. She believes in you working hard, earning your money, and doing things right at the right time. She just acts like a role model. If I make her my role model, I'll certainly become her also.
The number of jobs out there are just not enough for the amount of people coming onto the labor market. So one has to be, look at ways of creating the extra income.
So finally, what would be your advice to aspiring or potential entrepreneurs?
Your motivations have to be more than money, and if they are, you should definitely, if you have some, sort of problem you're looking to solve or issue that you think, you can generate and turn into wealth, I think you should spend some time looking into it seriously. It'll save you a lot of money, doing your research, planning, reaching out to people, and maybe even working in the industry for 1 or 2 years to gain a better perspective. And you should definitely also start with the limited resources you have. You're never going to have enough money, so don't use money as an excuse. You should definitely think big as well. It's really hard to do, but the more you think big about what's possible, the more you're likely to achieve it.